my grandma's old rocking chair. Pretty dilapidated. We'll try to fix it up. A lot of termite damage. It's been sitting out on the porch. I'm gonna start out sanding it, get it cleaned up, fill any holes, make a new rocker for it. Glue everything, nail everything, refinish it. All right, I'm gonna show y'all how to fill wood that's got rotted places and stuff in it. Like on the ends of this grandma's old chair. You can go waste your money on a bunch of high class wood filler, but all you need is a little bit of this shit right here. You just get you some of it where you got a bad place. Like on this right here, it's a little rotty, a little pithy as I call it. Squirt you a little bit on the end of it. Start working it in there with your finger. Work it in all them cracks. That mess will harden. That'll fill it. And now you can't just leave it like that. See, you got to do this a little at a time as you go. Let it dry a little bit, but still be tacky enough to where the sawdust will stick to it. Because you're going to be making some sawdust. Like this one over here is done dried a little bit now. I'll take the old wood rasp, just kind of hit it a lick. That'll get that sawdust down in there. And that dang glue. And you can use sandpaper on smaller stuff, you know, that you don't need to use a rasp on. And just kind of work up to it if you're using sandpaper. You can kind of work up to it. But on this area, I can use a rasp. So to do these, I got to kind of sharpen them like a pencil. Just take it easy. Don't get too carried away because this wood's kind of pithy anyhow. But if I keep doing that, working that wood glue in there, well, that mess will be hard as a darn rock. And I keep working that sawdust in it, and it'll take a stain whenever I go to stain it. It should. It'll take a little bit of a stain. You can work it better, you know, working with your sandpaper and get more sawdust in it, and it'll take a better stain. It's all what you want. The more sawdust you get in it, the better it'll take a stain. If you don't get enough sawdust in it, it won't take stain worth of crap. Now, I believe they do make wood glue that's made to accept a stain, so you can get that kind, but I love this old Red Label Titebond. You can use that crap for everything. It's good stuff, man. Anyhow, so you can take that, you can do like I just did with your rasp. If you got something, get it started. Then you can get your sandpaper, work it down some more and get you some more of that sawdust sticking there. Thing is, don't let the glue dry completely, but let it dry enough that it won't just ball up. And you can just keep working it in there with your finger ever how much you have to till you get all that mess filled. Hard to hold this camera. I don't look through the camera. I wind up looking at it and then I get off of it. So, but anyhow, you get the sawdust in the glue. I mean, that's the idea, and there's your wood filler, you know, and it's some good stout stuff. Better than that old wood filler crap you got to put on there and it just crumbles up to nothing. Anyhow, I got a lot of wood filling to do, a lot of termite damage and cracks and stuff on this old chair, so I'm just gonna give y'all an idea how I do it. I ain't saying that's the right way to do it. It's just a cheap, easy way to do it. You know, that was good wood. Working on Granny's old chair some more. Got a little tip for everybody. It's working on old furniture and old wood, any kind of old piece of wood that you're trying to repair. Well, little tip. There's toothpicks and termites. They kind of go hand in hand. You got termite damage on old furniture. A nice little trick is to take a little bit of Titebond and squirt it on a piece of junk mail. Take a toothpick and roll it in that Titebond. Got a little termite hole somewhere. I've already got most of these. Well, here's one on the end of this leg. Stick that toothpick in there and snap it off. Be careful, don't jab it in yourself. And there you go. You got your termite hole filled. It's funny, toothpicks and termites go hand in hand because a termite hole is just about the size of a toothpick. It'll go in it just about every time. It works like a charm. Nice little tip for repairing old furniture. So anyway, the other thing I've done on Grandma's old chair here is I've sanded and got these shorts on. Better not too hyped up, too carried away. So anyhow, I sanded and I pressure washed this thing, and anyhow, got all that done. Put bleach on it, set it out in the sun, pressure washed the crap out of it, getting all that old funky gunk off of it. And then after I got all that done, I wanted to bring this wood grain out. So I took a propane torch, just kind of toasted the whole thing. Really brings out that wood grain. And I think what I'm gonna do to finish this thing, I don't think I'm gonna make it back into a rocking chair. Just gonna repair these feet, because I've been needing a chair that sits, well, not necessarily that sits low, but when I'm playing slide guitar, I always have to get something to set my foot on it or something and jack my leg up on my left knee. That way I can, it's just the way you tilt your slide guitar, it works better that way. You got something to set your leg on, or foot on. Get your leg up a little bit on the left side, like I am now, I reckon. So if you got a chair that sits real low to the ground, it works great for that. So this is ideal for that. It's perfect. It's kind of like made for the situation. I'm just gonna leave the rockers off of it, make these feet real sturdy and hard, because they had some rot and damage on this one especially. What I'm doing now is Titebond, the one I just showed you, regular old wood glue with the red label. I'm doing that before I stain it. I've already toasted it with the torch, so we'll do this Titebond on just these ends. All this other stuff, it's rough. I'm not gonna try to fill all that. I'm gonna leave it rough. And I'm gonna stain it with a real light stain, because the chair Grandma had, I remember it being yellow. It looked yellow. So I want to keep it the original wood color, just with a little bit of toasting on it, bring out the grain. And then what I want to do is something my dad told me about when I was a kid. He finished we had this old .22 rifle that man, it looked good. The stock had broke one time, and he glued it back together, and he refinished it, and he said he used tung oil on it. And I remember him telling me when I was a kid how he done it, that he put that tung oil on it, let it dry, and then worked it down with real fine steel wool, and then put another layer of tung oil, worked it down with steel wool. That thing looked like glass. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful .22 rifle that we had. And that's what I want to do to this chair. I want to get that same finish. So I'm going to use the stain. I'm going to use a light colored stain, just a little bit of yellow. I got it in there in the kitchen. Give me 1 second, I'll show you which one I got. You can look at the chair. Or either I can edit that out. This is the finish that I got. It's called Golden Pecan, and it's got kind of a yellowish finish to it. I think it'll look real good. It's not really yellow though. It's more of a golden, but you know, gold's kind of yellowish. But I went to Walmart, and this is what they had. This was the closest they had to what it used to look like. I remember the chair had a yellowish look. I mean, I guess I could take it back if I find some that's more yellow up at Lowe's, if I go to Lowe's before I stain this thing. Or I could just keep it and do something else with it. But I may use that color. I may keep looking for a more yellow color, because I remember the chair had a yellowish color, but it had kind of a golden color also. This is probably going to be pretty close, actually. What do you think, Mom? You remember how the chair used to look over at Ma's house? Remember, it had a real yellowish color to it, didn't it? There ain't no telling what old stain was on it. So this one probably can't even get that same color. But I do got a lot of little termite holes here, I see, so I'm just going to go through these toothpicks and stick them in there and let that Titebond dry, and then I'll sit there and file them down, sand them down, stain it. I'm going to use that tongue oil, finish it, and steel wool, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright, back at it with Grandma's old chair. Now here's what they don't tell you. I'm going to give you another tip about staining old furniture. You know, whatever color you want it, you really need a couple different color stains. Like, I'm using 3 different color stains on this chair. To get a good color on old furniture like this, you need a real dark stain. Like, see, now I'm using, hit the camera thing, using this Minwax stainable wood filler. You know, when you go try to do the places that you want to stain, put a stain over in cracks and stuff, like right in here, you can see I fixed that. Right in here where I fixed some. That wood filler, you know, it says it's stainable, and it will take a stain, but you have to use a pretty dark stain to get it to take. And what I do is I stain my chair a light color to start with, and then I go back with a darker stain and hit that, all them spots of that wood filler. Get that dark, try to get a dark color. Now they've got some wood filler that's already a dark color, and it would probably be easy, make it easier on me. But that's the way I'm doing this one. And I'm using 3 different color stains on this old chair. I'm using to fix my filler, I'm using that dark walnut like I used on them chairs out in the yard. I've used I think it's like a chestnut that's a real light stain with just a little red in it. And then I've got this stain here that's gun stock, and it's a little more red. And I'm going back over with that. And you just want to go over this thing, you know, in light coats and wipe it off, the excess. And you can really work with this stain, and you can get it the color you want it. It's fun to work with because of that, because you can just kind of work it in, wipe off the excess, and just keep working it back and forth, using the darker, or using more red, or whatever color you want. But I'm using the dark to get in certain spots, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm gonna work on that a while, but ain't no use in really rolling a long video of that. I'll just talk about it, and you can see the progress here. And when I get done with this, I'm gonna use a tongue oil on it and try to get it real slick. That's what Dad did on old 22 rifle I had when I was a kid that he had to do a repair on the stock. And I remember it looked real cool, so that's what I'm gonna do on this one. It's just a process, slow process, restoring this old furniture. But like I said, this chair is This chair will be 100 years old. I don't know. I put a lot of work into it. It's going to be really pretty when I get done with it. Probably keep it around the rest of my life. That's the idea. So this is what I wound up coming up with. Came out pretty good. I used about 2 to 3 coats of tung oil on it, and I wound up putting some little foot stops, little white plastic foot stops on the bottom of the legs. Got a little nail in them. Came out looking pretty good. I wound up with more of an amber color than just like a yellow like I'd initially thought I was going to go for, but I really like that amber finish I was able to get. I left the old piece of wire on it Granny used to have on there, going from the arm, under that arm on the right side, because I always remembered seeing it when I was a kid. But anyway, it come out pretty good, and I'm proud of it. Keep it around a long time.